Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, I have to say.
Apparently we're live.
Indeed we are. We will wait, of course, for a couple of moments for everybody to drop in. You should see the comments coming through anyways here. So guys, for anyone that is joining or has already joined, possibly, just let us know, if you don't mind, in the comments, if you can hear us clearly and if everything is coming through okay. We're going to hang on for a couple of moments. We have a Facebook user there, so there is someone in. For anyone that hasn't used StreamYard before, if you want us to see who you are, if you want to comment, click on the link above the invite in the news feed, and it'll give you access to put your name in, and we'll know exactly who you are. That's if you want to, obviously. God, it is a lovely day out there. The sun is shining here now, actually, and it wasn't earlier, but it's looking really nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful outside today. Yeah. You could feel it coming last night, because last night there was these clouds that were covering the sky, but the air was very humid and warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are expected to last at the fine weather I saw before the drudgery of winter time starts to kick in, but we'll stretch it for all that we can anyway.
Well, you'll still be coming into the water with me, I tell you that much.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. Water is warmer though, to be honest.
It is, yeah.
This time of year, right? It starts getting warmer. I definitely will be. Yeah. I've got to get back to it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's warmer. It's cold in like February and March. That's the real cold now.
Yeah. I think we have two people there. We'll wait for another 2 minutes maybe before we kick off. And it looks like we are coming through fine. I'll grab my water.
We should put on the countdown music.
If I had thought of it, actually, yeah. If I'd have thought of that, it would have been definitely planned this better the next time. I think, Christoph, you might have a whole percussion behind us or something like that at a background.
That would be funny though.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, I can see we have 3 people there at the moment. I don't know who you are. So if you want to click on that link above the invite in the news feed and put your name in, we can see who you are. If you want to comment throughout, myself and Christo will be kind of going back and forth on various different items of discussion. So feel free to drop a comment or a question if you have any. I've set this for 45 minutes, but it may stretch a little bit longer. If you have questions, though, put them in and we'll stop at various intervals and take questions, which is usually the best approach.
I see a Facebook user said, "Give us a P, please, Bob."
I see that.
I don't know what that means.
It's the old game show, isn't it?
Oh, all right, okay, yes, okay, I'll give you.
What was it, Countdown or something like that?
No, you can't say Bob. You have to say it to the lady. We need a lady over there. Tracy, Scottish in Derry. Oh,
that's right. Yeah. It's usually a lady standing by.
Yeah.
Oh, Tracy. Yeah, Tracy. How are you? Thanks very much for joining. Okay, guys, we're 4 minutes after the hour, so we might just kick it off. We may get a few more people in. I think we had about 10 to join, but look, appreciate that it's Thursday afternoon. It may not suit everybody, but it just felt like the best time at the time we scheduled it. So thanks everyone for joining. This topic that we're going to cover today, as you know, is about attraction marketing, where we talk about how you can use this. It is a bit of an age-old approach, I would say, Christo, right? In that it's been used for many years in various different guises. But if you do it effectively, it can really elevate your business. And it takes a lot of the sales element out of, basically getting your target customers to your product and to your brand. It makes it, certainly, I won't say it's an easy process. It takes a lot of consistency and a lot of hard work. But if you do it effectively, it can really, really propel your business. And, regardless of the type of product you might be selling or the type of business that you're in. So before I kind of get into the nuts and bolts, but guys, you all know me, I think, at this stage. I'm John. I'm the man behind the Best Life Business Group, and I'm a high-ticket affiliate marketer. I've been working in affiliate marketing for well over a year at this stage, I would say. It was something I was always aware of for many years. I've worked in digital marketing, just as a by the by, for over 10 years at this stage across a number of different industries. Affiliate marketing just kind of for me became more of a progression than anything else. I saw it as a great opportunity to build an online business. I was always interested in it, and eventually I decided to, jump in, and I've never looked back. So Christo,
how's it going then? How are you?
Do you want to give everyone a bit of a brief background to who you were? A lot of people will know Christos. He took part in our Facebook Live 10-day challenge not so long ago. So for anyone that saw those videos, you will know who this guy is. But give us a bit of background, I suppose, and kind of focus on how you got started online. And we'll kind of get more into the attraction marketing side of things, because I know you have a lot of experience in that as well.
So, brief history, was working in sales for many years and didn't feel fulfilled. Always was attracted to performing arts, entertainment, and also helping others and giving people advice, because that was always something that I was drawn to, even as a kid when I was in school. Generally, people came to me for advice. That might have been because I was the oldest in the year or whatever. But I've always had that in me. So I think I was working in a sales job. I didn't feel fulfilled. I left because I was like, I gotta go start a YouTube channel and share these thoughts and help people. And at that point, I didn't really think of like building a business or anything like that. In fact, actually, I had a bad relationship with the idea of business and the idea of money, because I thought it was all about greed and all of that. But I quickly learned, when I ran out of money, all of my savings, just making videos that weren't up to par, by the way, that actually I still have bills to pay. And so because I still had bills to pay, I better learn how to make money without having to go back and work in a job where I feel disempowered, where I have to trade in my time, where I could be using that time for something more fun and something more fulfilling. And so then I started looking into ways to invest, because I was still lazy and I didn't really want to go out and build a business. I didn't know where to start. I didn't want to ask people for money in terms of selling products at that point in time, because I had enough of sales, right? So I just wanted to make videos, and I wanted those videos to be watched by people, and not just watched, but actually for people to gain something, like a level of increase, a feeling of increase from watching those videos. So I had to bite the pill, and then I started investing, and then I made some good investment decisions and also some terrible investment decisions. Okay, I was a noob at that point in time, but that was great character building, because it put me into great debt, and that debt forced me back into work, and then it forced me to start changing my thinking and changing my relationship with money and business and all of those things. So then I started becoming more open to the idea of having something to affiliate myself with, or a business that I could link to my brand, in order to create an income whilst also creating this content for people. Okay, so then there was a level of exchange. So anyway, long story short, I started becoming more focused with my social media and using the idea of attraction marketing to then sell a product or bring people into being a partner with me in a mastermind or whatever, right? And lots of plans down the road, and hopefully you and I will be doing lots of stuff together as well. But at the beginning, coming from a sales background, and Alan Duffy will remember this if he's watching.
I see Alan there, actually. Yeah. Hey, Alan, how are you? And Finola and a couple of others as well. Thanks for joining, guys.
And Alan will actually remember one of my biggest investment decisions, which was a terrible decision in the end, because I brought him along to one of the events. But he'll remember that, but he'll also remember when I started my product business that I was messaging him, and he was getting a real sales vibe from me in the message, right? And I have no problem admitting this, because obviously I'm still going through the learning curve, and I was looking to make money. I didn't have a job at that point. Well, actually, I did have a job, but I just wanted to get it kick-started. So anyway, over the past year and a half, I've learned that actually it's a lot less about describing and explaining things to people, and a lot more about just asking questions and just creating content that creates a level of curiosity and inquisitive feelings, and also something that's also fun and vibrant and attractive, because then people will come to you anyway, regardless.
That's a really interesting point. I want to hold you there for a moment, because you and I talked about that this week. And before I forget to bring us back to it at a later stage, which inevitably I will. You mentioned, that whole entertainment factor, which is something that I probably don't focus enough on. But talk a little bit about that and how powerful that can be, in terms of, giving people who are, let's be honest, we all live extremely busy lives, and we all like to take a break from the day-to-day norm and the grind and everything like that. So talk a little bit about, I suppose, the entertainment element and how you've leveraged that and found it impactful.
Yeah, so look, I think it is the nature of a person as well. I don't want to just tell everyone that you must go out and entertain people. From my own perspective, since a kid, I was always the clown in the class and the performer. Like I said, I was attracted to the entertainment and the performance arts. So for me, it came naturally. So it's just me being authentic. It's probably the videos that I would like, the type of videos I would send my friends, and I had been sending my friends for years, but coming to the point where I could overcome my ego. It's a mindset thing, right? Having the confidence to be completely yourself and be silly online in front of people without caring what they think. When you get to that level and you're doing things out of pure joy, the level of fulfillment shines through you, and people can feel that. And then you brighten other people's day up as well. And obviously there are some people that you'll trigger because they just don't like that type of personality, and that's okay. But not everyone's like that. And some people just have to be their authentic self in a different way. And you will attract people in such a way. But if you do have a funny bone, and look, most of us Irish do have a funny bone, then let it shine through your stories. Let it shine through your content, and not just about being fun, but becoming this positive association in people that are viewing your content. If people always see you posting positive stuff, whether or not they agree with what you're saying, doesn't matter, because you then become this person that's associated in their subconscious mind as being positive. And the thing is, as soon as somebody goes onto the likes of Facebook and sees a really negative post that doesn't make them feel good, they're going to remember the people that made them feel good, and they're going to want more of that feel good factor from that person. And then as you build a relationship with them and they'd reach out to you, and then you genuinely have a conversation with them without wanting anything in return, and you give them value, you help them, and you listen. Listening is the biggest part of it, right? When you listen to them, they then just build a bond with you. And then eventually, when you mention a product that you might be selling or a business that you have, they're going to come to you and they're going to ask you, hey, where can I get that product? It's happened to me loads of times now, and it's become a lot easier than it was at the beginning. But starting is the real hump that everyone needs to get over. I don't know what it was like for you, but yeah.
No, very much. I think very much like that. So guys, for everyone that's on the live, the reason I got Christo to go into that level of depth and wanted him to talk a bit about his background, because he has a number of years experience in attraction marketing. So before I even go into, I suppose, the granularity of what attraction marketing is, I thought it would be valuable for you all to hear, that perspective from somebody who's been doing it for a while and has seen that progression where, they can see over time, if you're consistent, that it really does benefit you. And obviously it benefits the customers on the other end as well, because that relationship is built. And that's just really important. For any of you that might have seen the post I put out last week, which was kind of a warm-up, I suppose, of sorts to this live, where I talked about pull, don't push, using attraction marketing to reach your goals. One of the kind of things that I talk about in that is around, the factor of building the relationship and obviously trust, because that's fundamental to any buyer relationship that they have with a brand. So if you're only after a quick sale, attraction marketing is probably not going to be the right approach for you. But if you want to build a lasting, sustainable business and develop a relationship with customers over time, then it's definitely the right approach. So I'll talk a little bit about, I'm conscious of the fact that some of you at least may be quite new to the online world. I know a number of you aren't. Certainly some of the names that I see here, I know you guys that are working online for quite a while, but just to put it in context, I want to talk a little bit about how attraction marketing is traditionally defined. So as the name suggests, it is an attraction approach where you're not, there's what I kind of refer to as an ask, don't tell approach, or a pull, don't push approach, where you're essentially using your own experience, your own insights, your own kind of life experience, I suppose, and you're telling a story through content to build up a rapport with people. In many instances, you're not even referencing a product. It's very much about how, this is the person I was faced with a challenge, and this is how I got to the point of where I am now, where I have this solution. It has done wonders for me, or has really improved the quality of my life, or maybe just, it has done something to really help me in my day to day. And it's something that I want to share with you, something that I really stand behind, and I feel I can help you if you have a similar problem. So what you're trying to do essentially is build up, you need to become relatable, is what I'm trying to say. People need to see their own problem in the content that you're putting out online. And it really does all come down to the content as a starting point. So just taking me as an example, I guess I mentioned earlier, I'm a high ticket affiliate marketer, and I promote personal development and skills training products, is what you would call them, where anybody who has an interest in developing a business of any kind would get the skills in sales and marketing to effectively build a business or build a brand. And the backbone of all of that is relationship building. It's not about a hard sell. It's about actually over time, giving people a view into your world, about who you are, the journey that you've been on, and building yourself up as an authority figure. So it's really about kind of educating people as you go along, and telling them, how you can actually help support them on their own journey. So like I said earlier, I might have been somebody who was stuck at one point. I didn't like the job that I was in, or I didn't feel fulfilled in the life that I had. And I found the world of entrepreneurship, or I started to build an online business, and it gave me a whole different perspective on life. And I found this one particular program, which gave me all the skills that I need. It really changed the game for me, and it helped me propel me forward into the world of attraction marketing. And I believe that that's something that could really help you too. So it's that kind of progression that you need to take. So that's kind of it, I guess, at a high level. I don't want to go too much into detail on it. In further lives, I'm going to talk more in more granularity about the various different aspects of attraction marketing. But today, for myself and Christos, this is more of a conversational style approach, where we talk about some of our own insights and experiences, and how attraction marketing could help you. So Christo, that brings me kind of on to the next point about knowing your customer. Can you talk a little bit about that and your experience with it? Because you've been in network marketing now for quite a number of years, and using attraction marketing primarily, I think, to do business, correct?
Actually, no. 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 When my first ever network marketing opportunity, I wasn't doing attraction marketing at that point at all, because I still didn't have
new news to me.
Yeah, no. When I first got into network marketing, this is before what I do now, right? It was like half network marketing, that's what they said, and half an investment opportunity. It ended up being a complete and utter scam. Okay. I have no qualms admitting that, because as you go on your journey, you're going to find some good eggs, you're going to find some bad eggs.
Of course, yeah.
And so for me at that point, I wasn't ready yet or willing to post in a business sense on my social media page, because I was conscious of my friends and my family, and everyone faces these little barriers that they have to get over, this confidence barrier of being okay with how they're going to be perceived. So for me, I only really started the attraction marketing stuff once I think really the network marketing company that I'm with now. And I think a lot of that was to do with my confidence in the company, because it aligned more with my actual values and my passion for mushrooms. That gave me the confidence to actually go out and talk about that, because it aligned with everything that I was already posting. because a lot of my YouTube content and my Facebook content was a lot of personal development, mindset, healing type of stuff. And I would talk a lot about the medicinal value of mushrooms. So this aligned perfectly with it. So I had the confidence to then start talking about how this could be a business thing as well, and how you can build an income as long as you find your ikigai, and your ikigai being your reason for being, and something that aligns with your values. But in my first network marketing company, it didn't align with my values. And to be honest with you, it was kind of like just a stab in the dark for me, because I didn't want to go back to work, and I didn't know what to do, and I had a bit of money left, so I just threw it somewhere. And that's a big learning curve. And I'm not afraid to admit that. And I want to admit that, and I want to share that with people, so you know that, you know, it's not all rosy. You go through peaks and troughs. So for me, the real attraction marketing has only been around for me for about a year and a half. And in a simple year and a half, a lot has happened, and I've learned a lot. And not only because of the stuff that you do yourself, but because of the people that you meet. You know, I joined this mastermind. That was a revelation for me, because I joined this mastermind. Everyone was doing the same, was doing that. They had products, or they had a business, or they were coaches, or content creators, and they all had this purpose to create multiple sources of income online, and use their social media pages in order to leverage that. And when you're doing it with other people online, it's a lot easier than doing it alone. You have the support network. So in terms of what I've learned is, and Alan again will know this, because I used to speak in very convoluted philosophical language, which unfortunately is not relatable to people. And if you speak in that type of language, it comes a lot from the ego. It's almost like you're trying to show off your intellect, which is not relatable at all. So as soon as I learned to simplify it, and that's thanks to Lloyd Chambers, who actually was the one who helped me with that, because we started running events person to person.
Okay.
When he started teaching me that, Christo, people don't understand what you're talking about. You know, only a certain person will understand what you're talking about, like going in too much into detail. So when he told me you need to simplify it, you need to be relatable, you need to be like humorable, like, you know, you need to have humor and be funny as well. I really just returned to who I really was, because who I really was as a kid growing up was this really funny character that never really spoke in that type of complicated language. But I was fooled into that trap from listening to podcasts like the Joe Rogan podcast, and listening to people like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, and all these people that kind of make you believe that you have to be this person that speaks in convoluted language because it shows that you're smart. It's not true at all. And in a business sense, the more simple it is, the better, you know?
Yeah.
So
no, I totally get that. I really do. And like it, coming back to the customer, which we always should, you know, and the people that we're trying to connect with online, you have to think about everything through their lens and not through your own. Like let's just consider some platforms that we all use. Facebook, obviously, being my one primarily. You know, what I focus my time on is leveraging my Facebook profile and also my group to build authority, you know, to educate people, to talk to people about who I am and what I'm passionate about, and it allows me to connect with the right people. But most of the people that go on Facebook or any social media platform, let's be honest, unless it's LinkedIn, which has a different agenda, you know, we go on there for entertainment value. People don't go on social media to be sold to. This is the thing, you know, that I always knew, but I'm learning it more and more in conversations that I have with people. People do not want to be sold to, and they ultimately don't care about your product. You know, what they care about is, are you a real person? Number one, because let's be honest, there's a lot of non-real people on Facebook and other social media these days. But number two, you know, can I just have a chat with you? Are you a real person that can just be authentic? You know, be yourself, and not just try and pitch me out of the box. You know, so that's where the relationship element comes from, and it's really just about spending the time to actually listen. You mentioned the key thing there earlier is listening to people and having real conversations with them, because that ultimately is what opens up opportunities at the end of it. And if you can do that well, if you can build a relationship over time with somebody, you won't have to sell your product, because you'll have a trust with them, you'll have a rapport, and they will ultimately buy into you. So whatever product you represent or that you're selling, they'll already be a buyer when you get to that stage. They're just waiting to purchase your product, and you don't have to push. You don't have to do the sleazy sales talk or anything like that. It's not, because the ice is well broken. You've obviously built up, a good rapport with people, and they'd be happy to work with you. And certainly in my own experience, because of the nature of the product that I represent as an affiliate marketer, people like to know that you're going to be there with them. They like to talk about being on a journey, because it's about building a business. Ultimately, it's not like selling a tangible product. For me, it's about working with people to help them achieve their goals, in the same way that I'm trying to achieve mine. But so there's a lot of, I would say, I hate to use the term after sales service, but there's an element of people having peace of mind that you're going to be with them and obviously support them afterwards. So that's just as important. You can't it's not just I'm going to sell you a product and I'm out the door kind of situation. Like, I want to be able to come back to people again and again and actually genuinely help them. So that's something that really kind of you need to keep in mind as well.
Yeah,
a couple of comments. A couple of comments there I'll show. So we have one here. One Facebook user says, be a person first and the money will follow. Love it, John. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. You need to, because people's bullshit radars are quite strong these days, I would say. And like I say, nobody wants to be sold to. I think a lot of people these days want to build a relationship first. Product comes second or even third in some instances. So I completely agree with that. Alan says, well said, Christo. Let me see. Yeah, we have a couple of other comments there. Finola says we all need a bit of positivity right now. Couldn't agree more, Finola, especially in the times that we're in. And that's actually a really good point that Finola's raising, Christo. So consider the time we are in. Like, it's the most bizarre year of our lives in a lot of ways with the coronavirus. And I'm not going to get into a whole discussion about that, but just considering people's mindsets at the moment, I absolutely agree. I think relationship building is probably more important now than it ever was before. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's always important, regardless of the time, but yeah, especially if people are isolated right now because they can't meet people as easily and there's a lot of fear, then the more we focus on creating that connection online, the better. And I think video calls, obviously you can't replace person to person, but video calls are the closest thing that you can get to it right now. And I do think they help. And I know a few people that they came into the mastermind and they benefited greatly just from having that video call every week with a group of people. They were able to share without fear of being judged with anything, whether it's to do with their business or any challenge they're having, and also be encouraged to share their wins, because I don't think people in Ireland have and all over the world, right? But in Ireland, we don't really have habits where we're held accountable to sharing wins every week and actually reminding ourselves of what went well.
Yeah,
we rehearse everything in our minds that what went wrong, and then we wonder why it keeps going wrong, because we keep focusing on what went wrong rather than what went well. So just coming back to, and I'm going to segue from positivity into abundance, right? We think of abundance, right, for a moment. Abundance is not something that we create. It's not something that we attain. It's always there. It just depends what we're focusing on. And it depends whether we want to tune into that abundance. And coming back to knowing your customer and being people rather than salespeople or business people, when you're truly abundant and when you don't operate from lack, you no longer need the sale. You no longer need the result, because you're present in this moment right now, completely grateful. And through that gratitude, you can give to this person without expecting in return. And the funny thing is because that's the path of least resistance, that's the key to attraction. because things come to you when you're less resistant, less push, and the pull factor just creates itself through that.
Yeah.
You know? So.
No, definitely. And I would say, if you were to ask me what was my biggest, or what has been my biggest challenge, it's that mindset, that lack mentality, I think. And I think an awful lot of people have it, because I know from conversations I've had with other affiliates and people out, in other lines of work, in conversations online, it really is about having the right mindset, and detaching yourself from the sale, the end result, which is, it's easier said than done, I would say. It's just you have a natural propensity to kind of think about the goal, because I'm quite a goal-oriented person, goal-oriented person. I have that element of ambition, and I suppose building a business, let's be honest, you need to become profitable. So naturally you're going to think about sales, at least in the early stages of it. But for an attraction marketing strategy, guys, you kind of have to put that element of it out of your head to a certain extent. Certainly in the interim period, while you're building a relationship, while you're getting to know people, and while you're putting out value, trying to help people, genuinely help them, to the point where they're asking you about the product and you're not pushing it on them, because that's the most important thing. And it kind of comes back to, I suppose there's another point I wanted to kind of raise, I suppose, in relation to the various steps that you take in this attraction marketing strategy, applying it to your business. And I mentioned content obviously being fundamental to that earlier, but telling your story and telling it well is the first piece of the puzzle. So if you can become a good writer, number one, obviously writing is not for everybody. If you're not good at writing, video is a really good thing. In fact, it's probably more important now than it has ever been before, because let's be honest, everybody likes to see video or to watch video. We don't want to be reading the text, but at the same time, if you can articulate things well, if you can, frame things properly, give people insights into your life and your own experiences, followed by a piece of education, which tells them these are the steps that I took to get to where I need to be, and becoming that bridge between someone having the problem and someone finding a solution. That's what you're ultimately trying to do. That's the whole principle of attraction marketing, is, being somebody obviously who's relatable, somebody that people can look to as an authority figure, or somebody that they can trust, and then obviously giving them the solution to solve whatever problem or challenge they have. And one thing I had in mind earlier today, I wanted to mention, was Russell Brunson. Not surprisingly, I would bring up Russell Brunson because he's one of my go-to people. For anyone who hasn't mentioned,
thanks, Jan.
Great advertising for Russell Brunson here in this live. Expert we should say that, but Expert Secrets was his first book. Track Secrets is the more recent one, and that's the one that all the guys got off the back of the Facebook live challenge. But in Expert Secrets, Russell mentions something called the Epiphany Bridge, and anyone that has read the book or is familiar with that will know the concept. But basically, it's where you have an opportunity to. You're basically indirectly promoting an opportunity by telling people your story and how it benefited you, and that's kind of how you need to approach your content. If you can become a good storyteller and tell people about your epiphany moment, where you found something that you were looking for that completely changed the game for you, then that's kind of where people say, well, I definitely want to know more about that. And that's where kind of the relationship kicks in, and they start to see, they want to hear more about you and your experience. And then without even realizing it, I guess they're becoming captivated by the content, and it brings them to a point where they're like, this is something I know I need. I know it's going to benefit me. And this person has clearly demonstrated that is the case. So that's something I would look for that book, guys, honestly, or just look up Epiphany Bridge. And if you're on YouTube at any point, it's definitely worth looking into if you are trying to improve your content creation skills.
But just a disclaimer. This is not actually sponsored by Russell Brunson. So.
No, I kind of went off a bit of a tangent.
That was a joke.
Yeah. But honestly, anybody who's in this game for a while will know Russell is a guy who knows a lot about attraction marketing, and I've learned a lot from him. So those books, honestly, they're really, I can't say enough about them. So, Christos, did you have anything to add to that? Because I know you've told me in the past certainly that you have an affinity with writing, and I've seen, you know, your content is very strong, but you're really good on video. Like I love the videos that you put out, even on your stories, or you know, you built up your Instagram and your YouTube channel obviously on video content. Is that the platform that you chose to go with, without maybe even realizing it, as an attraction marketer?
Well, as a content creator first, I went for YouTube because I thought I liked the idea of, you know, getting to a certain subscriber base and then just being paid for making videos. But yeah, the attraction marketing route, first I went down the Instagram route because I thought that's where you build the following, but the algorithms kept changing and rule sets kept changing, and I never really resonated as much with Instagram. I didn't feel like it was as personal.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook was the one that ended up just showing itself to be the place for me, because it was more personal, and you could build stronger relationships with people. So yeah, that's just by default kind of was brought in there. And I've always loved words since I was young. So I was writing poetry when I was a kid, and always loved music. So like I've always been a wordy type person anyway. So for me, it came naturally. And then the video, again, it just came naturally because I mean, when I was younger, we started a YouTube channel with my cousin. It was a comedy channel, and we used to just be silly and do imitations and impressions back then. But it was on a really crappy Nokia phone, and nothing ever came of it because it was obviously terrible content. But point is that I never really had a problem with cameras. I always kind of enjoyed performing. You know, I actually didn't like cameras as much being myself. I kind of always loved playing the character. So it's only in the last couple of years, 3 years, that I was actually being myself on the camera.
Okay.
And enjoying that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I totally relate to your choice of platform. And I found Facebook as well to be the right place for me, certainly as a starting point. Like, one thing I will say as well, I'm going to talk a little bit in a moment, guys, about the tools and the resources that you can use to put attraction marketing into practice online. I know a lot of people tend to get bogged down with the tech side of things in the early stages. Met a lot of people who felt like that's their number one issue. And that, again, is a mindset thing. There's much more, like the actual psychology is far more important. You realize that as you go along. But just to kind of build on Christos' point about, you know, where he chose to focus, Facebook, you know, as you know, there's over 2.6 billion users on Facebook. So obviously it's still a very, very strong platform to be on. And I would agree with his point about the fact that it gives you the opportunity to build a relationship, or a closer relationship with people, because you have your Facebook feed, you've got your groups, you've got Messenger, which is a really important one, you know, where you want to have personal conversations with people, obviously up to the point where you might be having a virtual call with them, or, you know, a call over the phone, which is often the case as well. So there's a lot of elements to it that lend themselves to that relationship building element. Whereas if your YouTube is also extremely strong, I would say, and you know, the likes of this live today, for instance, you know, for attraction marketing purposes, you know, when we're talking about creating content, there's ways to syndicate your content across different platforms. So we can actually stream this live directly to YouTube if we choose to. You can do that anytime with, you know, the likes of StreamYard that I'm using here, or some of the other software. So those are things as well that will help you. But in terms of other tools, like typical tools that you will use. Social media obviously being the strongest one, I think, because it allows you to do the relationship building. It allows you to publish the content where you want to amplify certain messages and tell people about who you are, give them insights into your own life, and then obviously educate them as well. But of course, email is extremely important as well for nurturing people and to give them more information. That helps you to build a relationship also. On an ongoing basis. If you've got a list that people can subscribe to, extremely important, and that is an asset. It's the number one asset actually that you could work on building up. So just keep that in mind. But then you've also got things like you could create your own website, obviously, or a blog. You could create a funnel that you could direct people to, which would give them more content. There's various different things like that, and I know that most of you are already doing at least some of this stuff, but there's various different things that you can do to help you build your strategy up. And I'm certainly happy to talk to anybody who wants to reach out to me about it at a later stage. We'll touch on a few comments here. I think we had a couple of other ones from people as we were talking there, Christos. One Facebook user says, personal experience followed by... Okay, so this is a point that was missed. So what I was talking about earlier was in your content creation, when you're writing a post, just for example, whether it be a blog post or a social media post, giving people and some details about your own personal experience first so that they can relate to it, and then educating them, giving them the steps that they need to go through to solve whatever problem or whatever situation they might be faced with. That's what I was alluding to in that point. Alan says, love the path of least resistance. It's so true in attraction. I couldn't agree with that more as well. And that path of least resistance is, I'm really glad you brought that up, Christos, actually, because it's a very important one.
Yeah, and it's also down to not doing it alone, because if you just look at nature, all the trees, all the organisms, they're not doing things alone. They're working together, and so because of that, they perpetuate themselves through the path of least resistance. So sometimes in the entrepreneurial world, you get people that just want to do it all alone, and that's fine. But for me, it just makes a lot more sense to do it with other people. So that's why I find that the networking side of it, of social media, and potentially partnering with other people that want to go down a similar path, not exactly the same, but a similar path, and doing it together and keeping each other accountable and lifting each other up when they're down is very, very important. It's vital.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I mean, we are all humans at the end of the day, and everybody has struggles and challenges, and we have to be mindful of that. And I always have to remind myself that, regardless of what you think might be right in your approach to your business, you should be thinking more about the other guy. What's the person that you're actually trying to reach or speak to through a video or through a post? What are they actually going through, and how are you going to help them? Why is it valuable for them to take time out of their day to look at your video or to read your content? It has to add value. That's what it all kind of comes down to. And I know we kind of all labor that point a bit, I think, but it's fundamental to everything that we're doing, right?
Yeah, well, we're creating little micro economies online that don't really attach to the macro economy in the world, because that's the corporate world, right? Mm-hmm. And then due to the situation right now, it's really the macroeconomic world that suffers. It's the small to medium businesses, physical businesses that suffer. People online are doing actually pretty well because they have their own micro economy. It's totally different. And the economy relies on people supporting each other. So within a community, you might have a coffee shop, you might have a bar, you might have a shop, a pharmacy, etc., like a supermarket. And all the people in that community support each other. And just because somebody has a coffee shop doesn't mean they don't go to the supermarket. They still go to the supermarket to buy their stuff if they're in the community. And so that's why it's so important to create these microeconomies, these communities online where everyone's sort of exchanging with each other, exchanging services, because then we're less reliant on the macro. And that's just from a societal point of view. I think there's like a great entrepreneurial movement happening online.
No, I completely agree with you, and it is. I mean, it's powerful, I guess, how all of this has evolved over the last number of years, even the last 2-3 years. If we look at it, I mean, it has exploded. You could even take this year alone, because there's so much more people online. But it's ever evolving. So I think you made a lot of good points there.
I was going to just another point here, and I think it's important that anybody that's watching this understands this, right? If you're going to take this path, what I would suggest is don't make a 1-year decision or 2 years and I'll see how it goes. Don't even make it 5 years unless you're willing to commit. And this is coming from an investment standpoint. And the investment is, say, you always invest 10% of what you have. So if the average lifespan is around 73 years, then your 10% is about 7.3 years. Okay. So if you're not willing to put 8 years into this, forget about it. Because if you make an 8-year commitment or a 10-year commitment to doing this, all of the peaks and troughs along the way, the volatility of making money and losing money, it won't matter, because you have a long-term vision and you're doing it more so for the learning curve of it rather than the results, which we touched on earlier. So I say that to everyone, don't try to solve a permanent problem with a temporary solution. You want to solve a permanent problem with a permanent solution, and that means commitment. It means consistency, and that's tough for people, because a lot of people come into this field and they give up after a year, 6 months, 2 years, maybe 3 years, and it's really the people that get to the 10-year mark that do the best. So
yeah, I mean, you're right. But unfortunately, we're creatures of instant gratification. We need that immediate hit of dopamine or whatever it might be, in the form of a sale or whatever else. And like I said, I mentioned that earlier. I've experienced a lot of that. But you need to go through this. I fully agree with you. I think you need to go through this for a long time to really understand how you have to approach it. People kind of get into the online world. I find, you've talked to a million of them, and so have I, Christos, where that you can tell by talking to them when you start the conversation that they're thinking that the online business or the online game in general is just a way to make easy money, and it's anything but. You have to get into this with in the mindset that this is a very legitimate approach to business. Online is no different to a traditional business. You have to put in the work. It's about consistency, and that's another thing I really have to say with attraction marketing is it's about being visible all the time. You have to show up all the time. Hard enough as it is, and believe me, I struggle with it a lot at times as well. I mean, you need your breaks for sure, but the more consistent you can be with an attraction marketing approach like this, where you're creating content and you're giving value to people through social media or through emails or whatever you might be on your website, great way to do it. Doing it bit by bit in small steps and having that long-term vision is the only way to really build a sustainable business, because otherwise you're just focused on the quick sale, and when you don't get it, it's going to feel like a kick in the teeth, and it's very easy then to start losing your consistency. You drop off for days, and all of a sudden it's like the idea just doesn't seem to resonate with you as much anymore. And what happens? People inevitably fall out of the game. Really is just all about kind of sticking with it.
Well, like if you're like, let's say you're building a house to live in, right? Like your only choice is to build a house, okay?
Yeah.
And you build it up and you've gotten to the point where it's almost built, and then a storm comes in and destroys the house. Well, do you give up and do you stop building the house? And do you just live homeless, or do you keep going, you build a house and you make sure that it's done? But because that's seen as a necessity, right? People will go and they'll build a house. If you approach this game in the same fashion, like for example, let's say you've taken all the tips, right? You've made the post the way it's supposed to be made, apparently, depending on the Epiphany Bridge and all the other different strategies, right? And you only get 2 likes and 1 comment and whatever, and maybe nobody's coming. And maybe that happens for like 6 months. and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing everything, but it's just not working. Well, it's not that it's not working. It's just that you have to keep going, and you have to keep connecting with people, and you have to also go out and connect with others that are doing the same thing, because especially on Facebook, if you're connecting with somebody else that has 5,000 friends, and you build a relationship with them, and they like your post and comment one time, their network is now going to see your stuff, because that's how it works. That's how the algorithm does. It opens doors, right? Networking opens doors. So this game is all a patience game. It's all a time and endurance. It's an investment. The moment you come in from an investment mindset, like planting a tree, you plant an apple tree, it takes 6 years to grow. When you come in with that mindset, you can't lose, because there's no such thing as losing. Losing is an illusion. You're always winning when you're learning, and you get excited about that. Because in the end, why are we here, John? We're here to experience. We're here to learn and grow. We're here to connect with others. That's why we're here. The only reason we want to make money is because we want more of that. So if you make your journey of making the income and building those streams and whatever about that, then you've basically skipped a step. You're already there. It's like you hear those guys and these stories of people that made the money and then they weren't happy because they got the money and then they didn't know what to do with it. They were like, well, I've got the money now, I should be happy. But I've heard from the most successful entrepreneurs is like, well, no, we figured out that we were happy first, because that was a choice. So choose to be happy now. Take enjoyment and fulfillment from the things you're doing right now. And then later on, when the money comes in, it won't change anything. It just means now, because you were already happy, you were already coming from a place of abundance, you can use that money now to give back to people, to give back to your family, first of all, then to give back to your community, and to make the world a better place.
Yeah, most definitely. And sorry, I'm distracted by a comment that came through there earlier, but no, I want to address your points there, Christos. Like it is very much like that, and it's all about, I suppose, we're talking more about mindset than anything else, but let's be honest, it is a mindset. Being in this line of work, you have to be able to endure, and consistency and persistence is really important. You have to be stubborn to a certain extent, because otherwise it's going to get the better of you. But as far as using the attraction marketing strategy, that like this is what Christos is kind of talking about, is fundamentally linked to it. That's why you're kind of going into the whole mindset side of it. But being consistent and showing up is so important. And my own mentor says this all the time as well. You kind of have to be there, and obviously doing it in a way that you're not sacrificing your health or the things that are important to you, because let's be honest, we're all online to build a business that will allow us to do the things that we want to do. So if you can go into it with that in mind, and I think the main thing I wanted to actually come back to is gratitude. This is something else that I'm finding is really, really powerful, is that if you can adapt a gratitude mindset in all of the content that you're creating and putting out, it does definitely resonate. And Christos, you touched on this earlier as well, is that, if you're passionate about something, if you're really feeling a good vibe, it comes through in your content, right? And people will see that, or through a video in particular as well. You brought your body language, the way you act and everything like that. So keep those things in mind and look for ways and means that you can actually build up a positive mentality, because there's a lot of hard knocks in this game. I would say it's not an easy one to stick with, but if you can develop the right approach to it up here, I think that really makes the difference, right?
Yeah, you might pull that comment up actually by Finola, because it's a good comment.
That's the one actually I was looking at. So Finola says, I totally agree, I'm all in. I started with a comment of 18 months to make a profit, but now I realize it takes a lot more time and commitment. I'm also gaining so much more on this journey through mindset change and connecting with like-minded people in various communities. That kind of summarizes it there, Finola. I think you learned that lesson just like I'm learning it, and I think Christos has as well, and everybody else that sticks with this, is that we all may have started out thinking that there was going to be short-term gains to be made, and not really thinking about it long-term. You know, I certainly did to a certain extent, but I've realized just how important it is. And I reference another post I put out recently where I talk about the 4-year vision. You know, I talk about 4 years, Christos talks about 8 years, and he's right. You know, that really long-term vision of, you know, what are the steps I need to take, small steps consistently every single day, to get me to a stage where, you know, I've really kind of done what or achieved what I wanted to achieve. And then, of course, you'll have other goals to achieve. So thanks for that.
Yeah, it's also like, you know, when those people wrote books years ago or paintings, and then it was after they died, like they became famous, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to make something and wait till you die or whatever, right? But sometimes if you make a YouTube video, it'll have no views or 1,000 views or whatever for like so many years, and then all of a sudden it comes into an era where it's discovered and it blows up. So always think about that whenever you're creating Facebook groups, whenever you're creating YouTube videos, anything that is going to stay there, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't think we have any other questions. We might hang on for a moment, but just to summarize, you know, on the whole topic of attraction marketing, like I said earlier today, I just wanted to make this more kind of high level, where, you know, myself and Christos are giving you our own perspectives and drawing on our own experiences with this strategy. But just to echo what I said earlier, you know, it really is powerful if you can stick with it. It may not seem like the right fit for everyone's business, but believe me, I don't care what product you're selling. If you adopt this approach and you can do it well and really invest the time and building relationships with the customer first, I guarantee you're going to see results in the long term. And that's certainly that's the approach that I'm trying to take. Hard and all as it can be sometimes, you know, we are not seeing immediate wins, and you're not, you know, you kind of just have to train yourself to get out of that frame of mind and approach it, like Christos says, with an abundance mindset, with a long-term vision of what you want to achieve. And it's definitely, you know, it'll pay dividends in the long term. So just to recap a couple of things as well, guys, you know, in terms of adopting this type of strategy, I'm going to go into it in more detail. And I think the main thing I want to address in future lives as well is content, because I can see from some of the queries that I've gotten through on Messenger, some of the comments that have come through in the group, and I'm watching that stuff all the time. You know, what is it that people are really challenged with, and what do they want to know more about? And a lot of people say it's content creation, that they often don't know where to start with it, or that they don't know how to do enough of it. And they're not sure whether it should be video or should it be posts, or what media they should be using. So I'm hoping to run a kind of a content creation masterclass at some point, you know, where we might bring people like Christos in, or, you know, other members in the group, to give their own insights and perspectives on how to best approach content creation. And I have other things in the making as well that I'll talk to you guys about through the group that might be of value to you in the weeks and months ahead. So Christos, any closing points from yourself?
One love,
have you talked
and
enough?
unity. that's it.
I don't think I've talked today. No. Yeah. So guys, I think we have 3 people left on the call anyways. Appreciate everybody's time today. We may change the timing of this the next time around. A weekend might suit people a little bit better. It was just the day that was in it, and the timing for myself and Chris. But really appreciate everybody jumping on. I think we got some great comments there, and I really enjoyed talking about this. And we will see the great Christos back again. We won't get rid of him that easily, I think.
Well, yeah, or like they can reach out to you, and, you know, they can join us in the mastermind if they so wish as well. So
definitely. Christos, just remind people actually before we jump off, where can people find you, or how can they find you on YouTube and your other channels?
The YouTube needs a bit of work, but it's Christos, as you can see on the screen here. The Facebook page is also Christos, as you can see on the screen here. If I could recommend something for you guys to watch, if you're looking for help when it comes to mindset, check out the playlist on the 11/11 journey. So there was 111 videos there that I did, 1 minute each, 11 chapters on different areas that you can focus on in order to align more with your creative source. So that'll help you in terms of mindset and creativity. Outside of that, if you want to learn more about mushrooms, there's a playlist on that as well, on medicinal mushrooms. Otherwise, you can connect with me on Facebook. Christos Salaforis is my full name. And you can connect with me there. That's where I post most of the time, but I will be posting more on YouTube soon. Just had to up level with the equipment, so there's some good content coming soon. But John, I appreciate you. I'm so glad that we found each other. So
yeah, thanks, brother. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day as well to come on and to give us, because I mean, you were, like I say, you were one of the people I had in mind, because I know you've got a good deal of experience and you've done this quite well. You have a lot of experience as well. Chris actually has a lot of experience building up Facebook groups, guys, substantial groups, in fact. So he was obviously the right person to bring into this initial call. But like I say, this won't be the last time I'll be coming back to this topic. Attraction marketing is very broad. There's a lot in it. And as you can see, you know, even talking about the content creation alone is a whole other area in its own right. So we will have, I think, multiple opportunities to kind of address these things again and again. And this is my space. So this is what I want to talk about. So there you go. Anyone have any questions or queries after this who might be watching the replay? Just shoot them into the comments box, or send them on to me by direct message, or even to Christo if you want to. This is going to go up on my YouTube channel as well. Do look out for the Best Life Business YouTube channel, because I'm posting all my videos there now also, where I talk about mindset, content, high ticket affiliate marketing, and the various other topics that you hear about all the time.
Johnny O'Brien.
Guys, thanks a lot for joining, and yeah, we'll see you all for the next one. Thanks, Christos.
Peace out.